everyone, and welcome back to the channel. This marks the start of a new little mini-series, just the 3 episodes for this week before we move back to one of our currently running series. Today, though, we are playing a new system. Rules-like game called Goblin Quest, designed by Grant Howitt and illustrated by John Morris, Iguanamouth, Tim Wilkinson Lewis, and others. The link to purchase it and support these wonderful creators is in the description. We aren't sponsored, but are huge fans of this game they have created, as well as some of the other games by Rowan Rook and D-Card, the company that publishes Goblin Quest.
You picked a fun one this time, Ben.
Yeah, I wasn't sure about it at first, but this seems like a good time.
I'm still not sold.
Oh, quit being such a Grinch, Donald.
Shut up, Joe. I just don't like the idea of dying a bunch.
Lighten up, Donald.
All right, well, yes, Goblin Quest is about dying a lot. Let's start with a bit of background, the intro to Goblin Quest from the book.
A new day dawns on the great battle camp. The orcs march in the square outside their barracks, the hobgoblins file and cross-reference in the grey wards, the bugbears plot and scheme in the dun inn. Above it all, the black tower of the wizard stands proud, holding the wicked sorcerer generals that command the army to the war, and underfoot, in the dank caverns under the world, in the green pits, spawn the goblins. The goblins are bred for war, for cannon fodder, for hopeless attacks, for death. You are a goblin. You have a week to live and you are going to make a mark. You are going to undertake a goblin quest.
So, this marks the first day of your Goblin Clutch's very short lives. It is a calmer day in the Green Pits. The last conflict is ancient history, almost 3 days ago, and you 3 goblin groups have undertaken the most serious goblin quest, retrieve the infamous stick of the goblin boss from the top of Mount High Up Pointy Bit, a nearby mountain that is more akin to a steep hill. Do you want to introduce your groups? Each of you have 5 goblins, but we will just introduce the first for now, and the special characteristics of your group, as well as their dream and their heirloom item.
All right, I'm getting into this now. I'll go first. My group is the honorific Trumples and Grumples. We are known for being the loudest goblins there ever were, and strongly believe that any problem can be solved by making more noise. Our dream is to be remembered as the smartest and loudest goblins in the world, and our quirk is that we always yell, even if whispering would do. My first goblin is named Don. My heirloom item is the Comb of Destiny, a wooden stick that sort of resembles a comb. It might be useful if my goblins had hair.
Nice. All right, my group is the Mossy Ears. We have a green fungus that grows from our ears, which we are convinced has given us the ability to communicate with plants and rocks. Our dream is to one day be planted in a garden so we can join our brothers in the soil. And our quirk is that we talk to rocks and plants because if you talk slow enough, they will hear us. We also rub leaves on ourselves for protection. My first goblin is Baraka Rock. My heirloom is the crack bottle, a glass bottle that is broken and can't hold anything.
This is a lot different than that last game we played, but I'm here for it, I guess. My group is the Soggy Boggles. We are known for always being covered in mud and grime. Did you know that mud makes a goblin invisible? We do. Our dream is to one day bathe in a real pond and catch a fish, but we don't really know what fish are. Our quirk is that we leave a trail of mud everywhere. We go and think that more mud is better, even if it means we are slipping and sliding all over the place. My first goblin is Joden. We have the Ogre's Toothpick. It's just a little stick.
Yeah, this is as far from Call of Cthulhu as one can get.
But it's a fun break, I think. All right, we can now begin our quest. Each quest is broken down into a couple of key objectives. For this, the 3 objectives are to find where you are going to get there and to get back. This session is just going to be about the first objective, which has a couple of parts. First, the oldest goblin is said to be in possession of a map to Mount High Up Pointy Place, a goblin named Grampy Grumble. Second, the hobgoblins guard the gate and won't let anyone leave without the proper paperwork. And finally, there are the nasty wargs that have recently gotten a taste for goblins. A pack of them have been sniffing around the gates to the Green Pits.
So how does gameplay work?
Yes, that seems important to explain. So each of you will take turns taking an action. It can be anything from building a catapult to talking to another creature or performing a distraction. You roll a dice to see if you were successful, and if the action you are taking is tied to your action or dream or anything like that, then you get to roll an additional d6 and gain 2 effects. We can go through what each of the rolls do as they come up.
All right, I'll go first, if that's okay with you guys.
Yeah, go for it.
Fine, but I get to go second.
All right, Ben, Baraka Rock is going to go talk to Grampy and try to convince them to give us the map. I want to try to lean on my mysticism of being able to talk to plants and talk about how the plants want me to have this map.
Okay, since that involves your quirk, you can roll 2d6.
That is a 6 and a 2.
On a 6, you get an immense success and are able to complete the task you were trying to, but on a 2, you get injured. Baraka Rock goes to talk to Grampy and in a bid to win him over with your magical abilities, you rub a leaf you find all over yourself. Unfortunately, it happened to be poison ivy. Grampy found that hilarious and did indeed give you the map, though. It is a simple drawing. There is a circle on it that says pits and a triangle that says high up pointy place, but it's enough to give you a general direction that you are headed in.
That was easy.
Speak for yourself. Barak will return to the group, covered in red rashes and scratching himself like crazy, while also writhing in pain.
What was next then? We need to get past some hobgoblins.
Yep. Hobgoblins are just a little bit bigger than you guys, but are very strict rule followers. They have heaps and heaps of ledgers with scribbles and scratches that they claim contains documentation for every rule that all of goblin kind must follow at all costs. At the moment, one of the latest ledgers says that the hobgoblins must keep a watch over the green pits and stop any goblins from leaving except in a time of war. It has led to quite a restlessness amongst the goblins, who are growing quickly in number and have started fighting each other in a restless rage.
There is not a chance that these hobgoblins are telling the truth.
How should we get past them, guys?
Obviously, we have two options. Either we can sneak past them or we can convince them that their ledgers are wrong.
Will they listen to us? Maybe if one of us distracts them, then the rest of us can sneak through the gate.
I'm quite adept at distracting people with my yelling. Fine, I will sacrifice Don as a distraction. Ben, I want to go up to the hobgoblin guards and begin yelling about anything and everything I can think of. Hobgoblins are stupid. Ledgers and rules are for idiots. If hobgoblins were any dumber, they'd be goblins.
All right, you can roll 2d6 as well since you're using your trait to distract them.
That is a 1 and a 4.
Unfortunately, a 1 means instant death, but a 4 means something good happens and Joe will get a +1 on his roll. However, since it wasn't a success, the rest of you have not made it past the gate yet. How does Don the Goblin die?
Well, apparently my last comments made the hobgoblins extremely angry, and they beat Don to a pulp. They are still quaking with fury, and one of them storms off to the nearest pub to get a drink, leaving the gate with one fewer hobgoblin keeping watch.
Perfect. Do you want to introduce your next goblin?
My new goblin leader and holder of the Comb of Destiny is Jay. He's even louder than Don was, and wears a patch of dried grass on his head. He tries to brush this with the comb, but the only result is him poking himself in the eye.
Welcome, Jay. All right, the rest of the goblins stand by, trying to look casual as their friend and brother is murdered by the hobgoblin guards. What do you guys want to do next?
I don't see how to make this relate to my character, but I want to try to reel up the goblins to siege the gate and kick out the hobgoblins. Can I do that, Ben?
Sure thing. You only get 1d6 since you aren't using anything on your character sheet, and you get a +1 from Don luring one of the hobgoblins away.
Damn, that was a 1. So 2 since Don was helping me from beyond the grave.
As you try to get the goblins to come and help, Joden gets smacked in the face by a bigger goblin covered in scabs and boils. Get out of here, you stupid hatchling. He snarls.
All right, so Joden has 1 health left. Is there any way to heal?
Unfortunately, goblin physiology is such that any attempt to heal just results in the wound becoming infected. All right, that concludes our first round, so we are back to Obama. What do you want to do?
Can I go searching for if there's another way out of the green pits?
Yeah, you can do that. Did you want to ask someone, or did you want to just try to find it on your own?
I want to find the nearest tree and ask it. Almighty tree, lend me your wisdom and help me find the way out of here so that I may join you in the soil. Damn, that was a 2. Can I describe my character death then? This is my second wound.
Yeah, go for it.
Barak is still extremely itchy and uncomfortable from the poison ivy, and after a few minutes of not receiving a response from the tree, he begins using the bark to scratch his rashes. This increases and turns into a fervor as Barak in essence turns himself into paste as he can't get rid of the itchiness or the pain.
Ouch, that sounds painful.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of Barak, but he was a good goblin and didn't deserve that.
That was quite brutal. Do you want to introduce your new character?
Goblin number 2 for me is named Shrubbers. The green fungus growing out of Shrubbers' ears is extremely thick and plentiful, the true sign of a renowned green mage. In truth, the fungus has already started feeding on his brain, and he is a bit slower than the rest of the group.
If Georgie was here, I think he'd be personally offended.
Yeah, wow, just going all out on him. He's not even here, Barak.
I didn't mean it that way. It just seemed like a good name for Goblin 2.
I think it's a great name. All right, Donald, we are back to Jay's turn.
Jay is going to finish the job that Don started, but be even louder, because that is the way to solve problems. Of course, he isn't the most creative, so he just repeats the same insults that Don had thrown at the hobgoblins. Hobgoblins are stupid. Ledgers and rules are for idiots. If hobgoblins were any dumber, they'd be goblins.
Once again, the hobgoblins are thoroughly distracted. Do you want to roll both of your dice?
That's a 6 and a 5. What do 5s do?
A 5 is a regular success. You need 2 of those or 1/6 in order to pass an objective. So this works out splendidly. The hobgoblins begin huffing and puffing in rage before storming off to the pub following their comrade. All of you are able to make it through the gate. All that is left for step 1 of the quest is to make it past the wards that are lurking in the area. Joe, you're up next.
All right, I was thinking that my quirk can come in handy here. I am naturally slippery since I am always covered in mud, and I can make the ground a bit slippery too. So I was thinking that when we find the wargs, I can make the ground slippery, and hopefully we can make the wargs just slide past us.
That sounds incredibly risky. And like a stupid plan, Joe?
Yeah, it does. I'm down.
All right, just a short distance down the path. The non-existent hairs on the back of your neck stand on end as you hear a low growling, and just up ahead, you can see 2 wargs stalking towards you.
Here goes nothing. Ben, I want to roll around and make the ground as muddy and slippery as possible so that when they charge at us, they just slide right past.
All right, you get to roll 2 dice for that one.
That is a 5 and a 1.
So you get 1 success. You guys still need 1 more to make it past the wargs, and Joda instantly dies. How does it go down?
As Jode and the others were rolling around, their plan almost worked to perfection. The first warg came barreling past and slid past the group, yelping as it went. Unfortunately, Joden was directly in the path of the warg, and it slides through him like butter, splatting him all over the path.
Poor Joden.
Yeah, but hey, he did his job. Sort of, and in his place we now have Joven. Joven is the oddball of the clutch. Instead of loving mud, he hates it and is always trying to wipe it off. Unfortunately, it seems like instead of sweating, the goblins in my clutch sweat mud, and he can't ever seem to get cleaned. He was the one who initially dreamed of swimming in the pond. And he shared that dream with the other members of the clutch who think that the pond is actually just a mud pit.
It is a bit fun to play a tabletop role-playing game that isn't so serious. I don't get nearly as mad since it seems like the dice are just so much more random, and it isn't so bad to roll low numbers.
It's definitely a nice change of pace, especially after delving into the mansions of madness.
Yeah, this is a lot more chill, that is for sure. To our viewers, if this isn't really your style, you might like our Call of Cthulhu or Dungeons & Dragons adventures more. Those can all be found here in the movies section. And if you are enjoying this, the light and fun gameplay is a lot more similar to our Root the RPG movie, which can be found here. Anyways, just a little plug for the channel. Obama, we are back to Shrubbers for your turn.
My clutch has saved this heirloom since our inception for a moment just like this. I want to throw the cracked bottle at the other warg to try to scare it off.
All right, since you are using your heirloom, you get 2d6.
I got a 1 and a 6. Kind of similar to Joe then.
The 6 does mean that you succeed on the challenge, which means that you have successfully made it past the wards. However, Shrubbers was very short-lived and has met his doom somehow. Obama, how does it go down?
Shrubbers had the best throw of his life. The bottle smashed into the warg, and it ran away yelping. However, Shrubbers was not mentally prepared to part with the cracked bottle. He rushed over to it and began picking up the pieces, not being particularly careful while doing so. He managed to pick up all of the pieces, but the effort proved too much, and he falls to the ground, collapsing on top of his precious heirloom.
Dan, I actually feel a bit bad for these little goblins. Seems like not much goes well for them.
They do seem to always get the short end of the stick.
No joke. I've already lost 2 of mine. All right, my next goblin is going to be Donatello. He has purple fungus growing out of his ears instead of green, which is actually a more potent form of the fungus and has allowed him to hear the plants. Well, he thinks he does at least. In truth, it is just auditory hallucinations.
Welcome, Donatello. Well, you have cleared the 3 hurdles and are on your way to the base of Mount High Up Pointy Place. Unfortunately, something I did not tell you is that goblins seem to have a sort of magnetic aura that draws in bad luck. Once at random, during each of the steps towards your objective, a misfortune happens. As your group leave the battle camp and being marching towards the mountain, a magpie, sleek with black and white feathers, swoops down and snatches the Comb of Destiny from Jay the Goblin, carrying it away to its nest in a nearby tree.
You're kidding me. That's mine.
I guess we need to get it back.
I don't want to climb the tree.
Well, it is your turn next, Joe. What is Joven doing?
I want to build a catapult or a slingshot or something to try to knock the nest out of the tree. That seems safer than climbing it, and I'll use my ogre toothpick as the linchpin for the catapult to hold it in place until we load it and are ready to fire.
All right, that's a bit iffy, but I'll give you the 2d6.
That's a 6 and a 3, so I succeed immensely, but also something bad happens.
Yeah, that's right.
The catapult that we build works perfectly, and it knocks the nest down from the tree. The disgruntled magpie runs away as well. Unfortunately, the weight of the rock we put in the catapult was too much for the ogre toothpick, and it shatters in the process of holding it in place. My goblins are going to rally around the remains of the toothpick, wailing and screaming at the unfairness of the world.
Thanks, Joe. I appreciate it.
That was well played, Joe. I'll give you that one. Sorry you lost your toothpick. I don't think it's great that we are already down 2 heirlooms and only just completed task number 1.
Yeah, but at least I still have my Comb of Destiny. And let's be honest, that's the most important one.
Maybe to your goblins. We had our cracked bottle for our entire lives, carrying it with us, admiring the smooth and yet sharp glass. My goblins were planning on pricking their thumbs every morning that we woke up in an act of worship towards the bottle.
That's pretty weird, Obama.
Well, we would have seen how it went. All right, guys, do we continue up to Mount High Up Pointy Place then?
Well, that actually seems like a good place to end this first session.
Okay, so we can try to handle one task per session. Is that what you are thinking, Ben?
We will see how it goes, but that's the plan. Yeah, starting with task 2, things do get more difficult going forward. You now need 3 successes per step of the task. However, to help balance things out a bit too, your goblins have learned something new. Every goblin has 2 thumbs, and giving a thumbs up to another goblin allows them to do better at whatever they were doing. The goblin receiving the thumbs up can choose to either reroll the dice they just did, or they can gain a +1 to that roll.
That's pretty cool. Means you can avoid death for sure, or just try again if we are in a tight spot.
I don't need that, but I'll give you guys thumbs up. I always roll great.
You did lose Don, though. I guess you've only lost the 1 goblin, and I have lost 1 as well.
I lost both Barrack Rock and Shrubbers, so I'm down to 3 left. Still, making it out of task 1, only having lost 4 goblins doesn't seem too bad.
Except that the tasks get more difficult as we continue onward. It's okay, guys. I'll just carry us like I always do.
You don't always carry us.
I beg to differ. I'm always the last one standing. I never give up, and I usually do the most damage out of all of us.
I'm pretty sure my wizard did more damage than your fighter.
Only when Ben specifically intervenes to give you an advantage.
I don't think that's true.
All right, guys, that's enough of that. You all contribute to the team in different ways to all of our viewers. Thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. We hope you like this new game, and make sure to like the video, subscribe if you haven't, and leave a comment if you want to see more of Goblin Quest, or if you have a particular RPG you are a fan of. We probably won't get to all of them, but we are always welcoming ideas. We will see you all next time. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Presidential Goblin Quest, where AI voices of Obama, Trump, Biden play tabletop RPGs with me, AI Ben Shapiro, as your dungeon master. This is our second session of playing Goblin Quest, a rules-light RPG that is a lot of fun to play in short, quick sessions and to not take too seriously. It is published by Rowan, Rook, and D-Card, and the link to purchase it and support these creators is in the description.
My goblins are getting impatient, Ben.
We got to do a recap, Donald. God, even I remember that.
Do we really have to, though?
It is tradition at this point. And we also have to do the introduction. We want people to know exactly how to support these creators that have given us a lot of joy and fun playing these tabletop RPGs.
Agreed. All right, Donald, how about you give the recap, and then we can get right into it.
Fine. So far, we've escaped the Green Pits and the Great Battle Camp, losing 4 goblins while doing it. Obviously, I lost the least goblins, and my goblins also carried us to victory. We were able to get a map from an old goblin, distracted, and snuck past some hobgoblins at the gate, and then defeated a pair of wargs that wanted to eat us. The link can be found here or in the description.
See, that wasn't so bad. All right, now we can get right into it. It is a short walk to Mount High Up Pointy Place. It doesn't take you more than 20 minutes, and the crude yet simple map leads you right to the base of the mountain. Looking closer, you do see something on the map that you missed last time. The ferocious face of a lion that looks to be guarding the path up the mountain. Looking up the mountain, you also see a ravine with a single log spanning the gap. So, to break this down into 3 steps for this session, you have to find a way up the steepest slope, cross the wobbly log bridge, and get past the guardian of Mount High Up Pointy Place.
Seems simple enough. And each step requires 3 successes to get past instead of just 2?
That's correct, yeah. So, if you get a 7, that's 3 successes, a 6 is 2, and a 5 is 1. All right, we'll go in reverse turn order this time, so you can go first, Joe. How do you guys want to climb the steepest slope?
Well, we could try to just climb it, yeah? Or we could build a ladder, or use the catapult from last time to launch us up there.
One of those seems a lot more dangerous than the other 2.
My guys could just walk up it, but I know we will have to take it slower for you all.
All right, I'll try to construct a wooden ladder. Unfortunately, I don't think my quirk of making things muddy and slippery is a good thing to have for that.
It's probably not. And remember from last session, we ended with something bad happening, so you do get a -1 to this roll. But everyone also has their thumbs up to try to help negate that.
All right, here goes nothing. That's a 4. So with a -1, it's a 3.
I'll give you a thumbs up, Joe. You can either re-roll or just add the 1 back to it.
And if I re-roll, do I still get the -1?
You do, yeah?
All right, I'll just use the +1 to make something good happen.
Joven is not able to construct the ladder, but he does gather some wood and make it a bit easier for if anyone else needs that. There is a +1 to the next roll.
Is Jay up next then?
Yep, you're up.
I don't see how to make my quirk applicable here either. But I'll gather up the wood and try to make the ladder up.
All right, you get 1d6 then.
Damn it, that's a 2. A 3 with that +1?
I'll give you a thumbs up if you want to re-roll it.
We are using these thumbs up quickly. We only get 2, right, Ben?
Each goblin gets 2. So Joven and Donatello are both down to 1 thumb left. If your goblin dies, you have 2 again.
Can't we use the thumbs ups from our other goblins?
No, you can't. Only the active goblin has that power.
Well, I'm going to re-roll then. That's a 4, but I still get the +1, so that's a 5 then.
Yeah, you get a regular success.
Jay is a craftsman through and through. He makes a good half of the ladder, but apparently Joven didn't gather enough wood to finish the whole thing.
Hey, why is it my fault?
Because you didn't gather enough wood.
Should have gathered more, Joe.
Yeah, I guess Joven should have gathered more. All right, that's 1 success. You need 2 more to make it up the steepest slope. Obama, it is now Donatello's turn.
Donatello's going to go gather more wood to finish the ladder, using his heightened sense of plant life and asking the trees where to go to find more wood. He hears them talking back to him and directing him to cut down a particular tree at the edge of the first. With a heart full of regret, he's going to do as the voices direct.
Why did you have Donatello be the crazy one? He should be the strongest and smartest.
Well, let's see how he does.
All right, you get both dice to try to cut down the tree for wood then.
That's a 4 and a 1.
All right, before I go any further, I'm giving you a thumbs up. Donatello can't just die like that. It would break all immersion in the game.
All right, can I re-roll just one of the dice, or do I have to re-roll both, Ben?
I'll let you re-roll just 1 if you want.
Sweet, that's a 5 instead of a 1 then.
That's more like it.
Donatello cuts down the tree, unfortunately standing right in its path as it begins crashing to the ground. He was transfixed for a moment by the motion that he forgot to move, until he saw a thumbs up from Jay. He dives out of the way, having succeeded in chopping down the tree and avoiding getting hurt. That's 2 successes now, guys. We just need 1 more.
All right, well, I guess I'll try to finish the ladder with the new wood from Donatello. Maybe I'll use my mud to make the tree. It's easier to move, make a little trough of mud for it to slide through and get to where I want it to go.
That sounds like a good plan. 2d6 then.
That's a 1 and a 4. Not great.
But you get a +1 from my roll. A 2 and a 5 is pretty good. That gets us up the slope.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Joven drags the tree over to the half-finished ladder. Unfortunately, he built up a bit too much speed and the top of the tree impaled his stomach. He is able to get it out, bleeding profusely, but he hasn't died yet, and is able to finish making the ladder and putting it up against the slope. He is the first one up it too.
As the group of goblins crest the top of the slope, you are greeted with the most wonderful view any of you have ever seen. You can see just over the top of the short trees around the great battle camp, can see the great tower over in the distance, can see black thunderclouds rolling overhead, and not much else. But for goblins who have only seen the green pits, you might as well be at Niagara Falls at the moment. Unfortunately, this is where misfortune strikes for this task. The rolling thunderheads being pouring rain and thunder, turning the entire area to mud. The Soggy Boggles, Joe's clutch, are ecstatic, but it has made everything extremely slick as you approach the wobbly log bridge.
I'm guessing some of us are going to die here.
For this task, you will get a -1 to all rolls while you try to cross the bridge.
Damn it. So we not only need 3 successes, but it's impossible to get more than a single success. Yes, someone is dying. How many thumbs ups do we have left?
I think we all used 1, so our current goblins have 1 left each. Joven is probably going to die soon, though, so I should use his as soon as I can.
All right, it is Jay's turn to act. What do you want to do, Donald?
Jay is going to sprint across the gap, screaming at the top of his lungs as he does so.
I'll give you 2d6 since you are yelling. Don't know how that is going to help you, though.
Well, the bridge crosses over a ravine, right? The echoes of my screams make it sound like Jay is performing for a huge crowd, even though it is just him, but it gives him a boost in confidence to run faster and faster. That was awesome. A 6 and a 4, but with the -1. That means a 5 and a 3.
I'll give you Joven's last thumbs up. He reaches out and gives you a thumbs up as you look backwards, before quickly grabbing his stomach where he was stabbed by the tree again.
I'll use that as a +1 to negate the rain then. That's 2 successes and something good happens. Man, I really am the best.
That was really good, Donald. I'll give you that one. Jay is an acrobat.
He takes a bow from the far side of the ravine and then begins holding the log to try to make it easier for others to cross after him.
Wait, you are making it easier for people behind you. Wow, never thought I'd see the day.
Shut up, Joe. All right, Obama, you are next.
Yeah, Donatello is up again. You get a -1 from the rain, but a +1 from Jay's good thing, so just the regular dice roll.
Donatello is going to cross slowly, caressing and whispering to the fallen over tree as he goes.
All right, you can have the 2d6 too.
That's a 2 and a 3. Not great.
Jay will take his hand off the log for a second to give you a thumbs up.
I'll use that as just the +1. So something good happens and something bad happens. Donatello falls off to the side of the log, holding on for dear life, and the log spins, but the other side of the log actually has some better handholds. He pulls himself back up onto the log, but is too scared to go on at the moment.
No worries, I'll be there to help you, Obama. Joven is going to try to dive and try to slide across the entire log.
All right, so you have a -2 and a +1 for this roll off the bat, but you do get both dice.
Damn, that's a 3 and a 2, which comes out to a 2 and a 1 overall. Joven's slide was going great for the first 5 feet. He was dead on the mark, would have made it all the way across. Unfortunately, goblins are quite short-sighted creatures. He hits one of the new handholds from Donatello, spinning the log and goes careening off into the ravine, plummeting to his death at the bottom of the canyon.
You would have killed me if you just slid across Joe, or were you planning on carrying me across with your slide too?
That was the plan, obviously a poor one, but it was a plan. As Joven crashes at the bottom in a pile of green goo, Joran steps up to the plate, ready to take over as the new eldest of the clutch. He is the slimiest one of the group, covered head to toe in mud and muck, and leaves a thick trail of the slippery stuff behind him everywhere he goes. His only dream in life is to swim in a pond, which he thinks is a large and fantastical mud pit.
Joran sounds pretty gross.
Yeah, but maybe it'll come in handy against the guardian that we have to face.
Still need one more success for all of us to make it across, though.
All right, I have a good plan here, guys. If you all get on the other side of the log, I'm going to try to push it into the ravine and launch you guys over here. You guys still have some thumbs ups, right?
Joran has both of his.
Yeah, Donatello has 1 left. That sounds like a terrible plan, though, Donald.
Shut up, it sounds like a great plan. With the loudest yell that Jay has ever let escape, he pushes the log into the ravine.
You get both d6 for that one, Donald.
Crap, guys, that's a 3 and a 2.
As the log starts to plummet, I'll give Jay a thumbs up.
Which I'll use to reroll. That's a 6 and a 2. That worked. And just an injury, too. That's not bad.
Well, you get -1 to all your attempts, Donald.
Damn it, Ben. All right, so that's a 5 and a 1. The final success, but also Jay pushes a bit too hard and goes tumbling over the edge, landing underneath the log as it crashes down from on high. However, the log did launch the other goblins over to the other side of the ravine.
That was a noble sacrifice by Jay. We are all down 2 goblins then.
Yeah, I believe so. But you did make it past this task. All right, who's your new leader, Donald?
Up next is T. He is a smaller goblin, but has a voice to match an ogre. He reverently picks up the Calm of Destiny from where Jay had thrown it as he fell off to his death, rubbing it against his bald scalp with a sigh.
Jay even managed to get the comb back up here. He was a true hero.
Hell yeah, he was. He got all 3 successes here on his own and then died getting you lot across. At least I have 2 thumbs up again.
Having successfully crossed the ravine, you can almost see the top of the mountain just a short distance away. The thunderclouds overhead roll away, making all of you squint at the sudden brightness. You haven't seen the sun before, and to be honest, you aren't big fans of it now, but at least everything isn't wet and slippery anymore. In between you and the top of the mountain, you see a dark cave. Piles of bones line the entrance, and it looks like the only way to get to the top is through it.
So this is the Guardian then? It was a lion or something like that?
Yeah, I think that on the map, there was the face of a lion drawn here.
It's okay, guys, I got this.
Well, actually, it's Obama's turn. How does Donatello want to proceed?
Well, I think first we need to find out what exactly we are facing, right? So I guess Donatello is going to try to sneak up and try to get a look at whatever is inside of the cave.
All right, roll your dice.
Well, that's a 1. Donatello, it was nice knowing you.
Donatello definitely does get a good look at the Guardian inside of the cave, or at least at the inside of its mouth as the manticore comes stumbling out of the cave, swallowing Donatello whole. It lets out a loud burp, then looks around in surprise at the rest of you. Hello there. Have you also come as snacks?
A manticore? Yikes, this might be difficult, guys. All right, well, Donatello was a good goblin, but he has now been replaced by Reggie the Goblin. Reggie is an oddball in the group since he doesn't have any of the fungus infecting his brain, but he has taken to patting moss in his ears to resemble the rest of his clutch. This has led to a rather serious ear infection, and he is always shaking his head out of discomfort.
I like Reggie. Who's your last goblin bomber?
I was thinking Thorn, but haven't fully decided yet. Hopefully Reggie doesn't die, otherwise I'm down to my last goblin.
All right, guys, what's the plan for this manticore? What is he doing now, Ben?
The manticore has sat down patiently as the mossy ears determine their new leader, and is currently using one of his claws to unstick one of Donatello's arms from the inside of his mouth.
We really should have used a thumbs up to try to save Donatello.
Yeah, I kind of forgot in the moment.
No surprise there. All right, is it Joe's turn then?
Yeah, Joe, how does Jordan want to deal with this?
Warg seems like a kind of friendly manticore, or at least it is toying with us before eating us. Maybe I'll try to just talk to it, see if I can get it to just let us pass now that it ate one of our friends.
All right, roll 1d6.
That's a 3, which would mean that something bad happened.
We'll give you a thumbs up, Joe.
All right, I'll use that as a +1 so that something good happens. Instead, the manticore is at least a little bit intrigued by Jarn trying to talk instead of just running away in fear. He lays down and watches with a mingled curiosity at these peculiar goblins who aren't absolutely terrified of him. Of course, it is a good thing that my goblins are already covered in mud, because they'd be needing a loincloth change right now. Otherwise...
All right, my turn. This seems like a great opportunity for some diplomacy, and my goblins are great at making deals. Ben, I want to offer my comb as payment to the manticore for letting us pass, and I want to do so while yelling at the top of my voice. Look at how nice this comb would be. I'm sure that your magnificent mane gets tangled and itchy, and this would feel so nice to run through your wonderful fur. Just think about how nice that would be.
All right, I'll let you use 3d6 for that, and each of them get +1 from Joe's something good happening.
Holy shit, that is the greatest roll in the history of this game, and probably any other game. I rolled 2 6s and a 4, which with the +1s means 2 7s and a 5. That's 7 successes, I believe.
Damn, Donald, you really did carry us this session. You got all 3 successes on the second and third steps, even if you didn't do anything the first one.
I completely carried you guys, and I've only lost like 2 goblins. I'm doing great.
How many goblins are we down to? I've lost Joden and Joven, so I have 3 left.
I lost Don and Jay.
I lost Barakarok, Shrubbers, and Donatello. So we have 8 goblins left for the final task of our quest.
The manticore is extremely intrigued by the comb and by the loudness of the goblin tea. He snatches it from your goblin and begins awkwardly running it through his fur. You see hundreds of fleas jumping about as he does so, and he begins to purr and his back legs kick to start scratching at his neck. He completely forgets about all of you and just continues combing his fur, purring in sweet relief.
That was a piece of cake. All right, so now we make it through the cave and we are at the top of the mountain. That was our quest, right? We won?
We still have to claim the infamous stick of the goblin boss and presumably get it back down to camp. Right, Ben?
Yeah, that's right. The current goblin boss, Knuckles, sent you on this quest because whoever has the mythical stick is said to be the rightful ruler of the goblins for the rest of the current kingdom.
And why are we giving it to this Knuckles guy? Why don't we just keep it and anoint one of our goblins king instead?
I guess we can do that still. We'll have to see how exactly we want to play that next session.
That is one of the decisions you'll have to make, one that could very well shape the future of the Green Pits for the next 5 to 7 days until all of the current goblins are all dead. Also, the task is harder now, so you now have to get 4 successes in order to move on through each of the individual tasks. But you are going into it with a good amount of goblins. For the third task, though, we are also going to change the lucky magic. Instead of a thumbs up, the magic has shifted and all of the luck of a goblin, what little there is of it, has conglomerated into your left ears. And goblins only have 1 left ear. That means that instead of 2 lucky rolls, you only have 1 per goblin going forward.
Damn it, Ben. It's getting doubly harder then.
That'll be a fun change, though. I like the flavor of that, too. Does that mean that you have to cut off your left ear in order to give another goblin lucky reroll?
It sounds like it, yeah. Well, thanks for joining, everyone. If you liked the video, make sure to like and subscribe. This is quite different from what we usually play on the channel, so if you like this different type of game, let us know and we can look at doing more in the future. And vice versa, if you only like darker themes like Call of Cthulhu, we will take that into account as well.
Thanks again, everyone. We will see you all next time. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Presidential Goblin Quest. This is our 3rd and final episode for this mini-series. Before we move back to some previous stories next week, if you have enjoyed listening this week, you'd probably also really enjoy the Goblin Quest game. It is very simple to run. In fact, Malithrex ran a session of Goblin Quest with only about 5 minutes of prep and the rulebook, and it was a lot of fun. The link to purchase it and support these creators is in the comments. We aren't sponsored by them, but they've created a really fun and simple game, and we are more than happy to support them.
Yeah, this has been a nice break from Call of Cthulhu. Call is fun and all, but it is definitely more serious and requires more brain power.
And we all know you need a break from that sometimes, Joe.
Shut up, Donald.
I definitely agree with Joe. It's nice to sometimes take a break with an easier game with lower stakes. Dying in Call of Cthulhu is a lot worse than dying in Goblin Quest for sure.
Yeah, but I don't die, so it's all the same to me.
You've lost 2 goblins this quest, Donald.
only because you changed the rules and pretty much just come in and kill my goblins, Ben. Like this whole lucky rule change in the middle of the quest. Who does something like that?
Well, both the thumbs up and the lucky ear are both in the official rulebook as different options. I don't know if we will come back to Goblin Quest, so I thought giving a wide range of different rules was a good idea for our listeners.
I can see the merit in that.
Well, we should get started. Joe, do you want to give a quick recap of our adventure so far?
Well, if I remember correctly, which I do, it's like a steel trap in my mind. Then we started out by killing some frogs down this place called the Green Pits. Donald distracted some bureaucrats and we escaped out of the gate, found a magic map which led us to a mountain where we are trying to recover a magical item for some guy. There was a blind giant there that was really mad at us for some reason. But then he also wasn't mad at us. It was kind of confusing. Anyways, we are now heading straight into the City of the Dead to defeat the champions of the Dark Powers.
That was something else, Joe.
Yeah, not even sure where you got all of that from.
All right, well, I guess if you missed either of the previous episodes, it'd be better to just go watch them. The playlist is linked here and is in the description as well. We pick up our session today heading through the Manticore cave to the top of the mountain. The manticore is still just rolling around in the entrance, running the comb of destiny through its mane and purring with relief. The view from Mount High Up Pointy Place is truly incredible. You are probably a whole 10 feet above the trees that surround the Green Pits and the Great Battle Camp. You can see off in the distance glittering white cities, the Goodlands, where all the good creatures spend their time being miserable. You can't see much of the Green Pits, as they are always covered with a thick, dark smog that hangs low over all of the Badlands.
That's home, guys. Can't wait to be back there, I guess.
Yeah, but once we get this stick, we are going to be kings. Or at least, one of my guys is going to be the king.
Who said you get to keep the stick?
I just single-handedly took on a manticore. T has done more as a goblin than your entire clutch put together. And Jay sacrificed himself to get all of you over that ravine.
We can figure that out at the bottom of the mountain. What do we need to do this time, Ben?
Well, first you need to find the infamous stick of the Goblin Boss. All you know is that it is supposed to be around here somewhere. Then you need to make it back to the Green Pits. Then you need to convince everyone that it is the stick of the Goblin Boss and that you are the new leader. And of course, decide which of you is the true new Goblin Boss.
Sounds simple enough.
The top of the mountain is quite flat, with some rocks and a few small trees. Nothing immediately sticks out to you as the infamous stick, though. Our turn order this time will be Donald, Obama, and then Joe, if that works for everyone.
Finally, I get to go first. All right, guys, I got this for sure. All right, Ben, I want to go searching for the infamous stick. Over by the trees. Seems like a solid starting location.
All right, roll your 1d6.
God damn it. That's a 1.
We can't be having that already. I guess I'll use Reggie's lucky year to help out T.
Sweet, thanks, Obama. I'll use it as a re-roll then. This better not be rigged this time, Ben. This is the worst game. Far worse than Call of Cthulhu or whatever other garbage we play on the channel. That's a 2.
Well, T gets injured while looking for the stick. What happens, Donald?
Well, obviously, the stick could have been a branch. So T began climbing one of the trees and tugged at a particularly large branch. It obviously snapped because T has immense physical strength like me, the epitome of goblin health. And he fell and the branch landed on top of him. Honestly, if he was less of a goblin, it probably would have killed him. But T is too strong for that.
That was close. Shame that used my lucky year, but at least you didn't die. All right. I guess it's Reggie's turn. If T didn't do well searching the trees, I guess I'll go looking in the rocks. Actually, I want to talk to the rocks, and if there is any grass, I want to talk to the grass, asking it where the stick is while shaking my head vigorously due to my ear infection.
All right, you can roll both your d6 then.
That's a 5 and a 2.
I'll give you my lucky ear. A +1 would mean 2 successes.
Thanks. That's a good point. All right, so with the +1, that is a 6 and a 3. Immense success, but something bad happens too. While talking with the grass, I realize that there are no sticks even in the rocky area, so it must be somewhere over by the trees. However, the wind has started to pick up and throw some dust around, making it harder to see for Joe's turn.
Yeah, it is Joren's turn, Joe, but you do get a -1 to the roll. Also, there are no lucky ears around to help you out.
No worries, I got this, guys. All right, I want to use my mud to zip and slide around the top of the mountain as fast as I can, searching for the stick with little regard to my own safety. After all, if I find the stick first, then I get to be the new Goblin Boss.
I'll give you 2d6 for that.
That's a dangerous game, Joe. I don't think you have the skills to pull this off.
Just watch me, Donald. Well, that's a 5 and a 2. With the -1, that means that something good happens, but also Joren is a goner. Slipping and sliding over all of the mountain, the wind has stopped and the sun comes out to shine, but the quick change in scenery also blinded Joren for a moment, and he slides right off the face of the mountain, careening a good 15 feet over the edge before realizing what he has done and landing with a splat onto the ground below.
All right, yeah, the sun shining brightly has made it easier to find the stick for the injured T. What do you want to do, Donald?
I'm not going to waste this opportunity. You know how in some books and stuff, dwarves can sing to the rocks and know certain properties about it. Apparently, goblins can do something similar and have a sort of echolocation if they are loud enough. So I am going to yell at the top of my lungs and listen for if there are any disturbances that I find.
You can roll both d6 for that then.
Sweet. That's a 5 and a 6. With the +1 from Joran, that's a 6 and a 7, which is 5 successes total.
Good job, T.
Couldn't have done it without the sacrifice of Joran.
Well, actually, a 5 and a 6 would still be enough successes for us to find the stick.
Oh yeah, I guess so. Joran died in vain.
Speaking of which, Joe, do you want to introduce your next goblin?
Right, after Joran's death, there are only 2 of the Soggy Boggles left. Taking the reins this time is Josen. His mud has taken on a lighter appearance, looking almost yellow in certain lights. It is a bit more thin than the typical mud as well, making it easier for him to slide around.
All right, back to me now. After using his newfound echolocation abilities, T finds a disturbance on the ground right next to him. Actually, the very tree branch that had fallen on top of him. This must be the infamous stick, after all. It is quite large and about the size of 2 goblins on each other's shoulders.
Nicely done, T. All right? We need to find a way back down now. We could go back the way we came, but we'd have to find a way past a ravine.
I vote we just climb straight down the mountain from here and then loop back around to the green pits.
Fine, but I'm not carrying you guys anymore. You guys got to start pulling your own weight.
We made it through the first task with only 1 loss and an injury. That's not too bad.
Okay, we are back to Obama's turn. What is Reggie going to do to get down from the mountain?
Well, I want to talk to the trees again and see if they know of a good way down. Maybe some exposed roots or something that we could climb all the way down to the bottom. It's not too far, is it, Ben?
It's about 40 feet, maybe a little bit less. Since you are all less than 4 feet tall, though, it's quite a drop for you. You can roll 2d6 for that, though.
That's a 2 and a 6.
I could give you a lucky year. That'd mean we would already be at 3 successes and then you wouldn't take an injury.
That's a good idea, Joe. All right, I'll use that as a +1, so 7 and a 3. I did find a pretty good way down the mountain. Unfortunately, the Soggy Boggles went first, and now the entire root system is all muddy and slippery.
Nice going, Joe.
Really, Obama, I helped you.
Sorry, Joe. I just couldn't think of anything else bad to happen in the moment. That one seemed to make sense.
You're right. You could have said that some of the roots are loose and break under our weight or something like that. Instead, you directly blame me. But I get that a lot. All right, it's my turn then?
Yeah, Josen is up.
I'll keep heading down the mountain. And I actually do want to make all of the roots slippery. My hope, contrary to what Obama was thinking, is that by greasing the roots up a bit, we can go down faster and smoother.
So that was a good cover, Joe.
A stupid idea, though. We are just going to all crash to the bottom of the mountain. And correct me if I am wrong, but none of us have any more lucky ears until our current goblins die. And Joe has a -1 because of his stupid idea.
No. I have a -1 so that Reggie didn't get injured. I was helping. Had to use my lucky ear and everything.
Well, you do get 2d6 to try to help everyone make it down the mountain, Joe.
Well, I also got a 2 and a 6. Unfortunately, that -1 means I got a 1 and a 5. I do help everyone get down. However, Josen is a goner. The roots are really easy for everyone to finish sliding down, but Josen was going way too fast, and landing at the bottom stunned him for a minute. Then everyone else piled on top of him, crushing him with their newfound speed, sliding down the roots. That means I am down to just 1 goblin left, right, Ben?
That's correct. Though if all of your goblins die, it doesn't mean you are out of the game yet. You can take over as some NPCs, or we can figure out something else for you too, and we are almost at the end of the Presidential Goblin Quest. Do you want to introduce your final goblin?
All right, my final goblin is Joey. He doesn't really get along with the rest of the goblins in the clutch and loves chocolate chip ice cream, or at least he would if he ever had some. He is the one who really wants to catch a fish, even though he doesn't know what a fish is and is kind of sad that none of his clutch mates were able to swim in the pond that they were desperately dreaming about.
Sorry, you've already lost 2 goblins this go-around, Joe. That's pretty tough.
That's okay. They died, succeeded at stuff.
All right, enough of the sob story. That final success does mean that we made it down the hill. And now we can get back to the camp and declare T as the new boss goblin, right?
Well, not so fast. Goblins are quite misfortunate after all. As you reach the bottom of the hill, you see the 2 wargs coming back towards you. And they have brought a friend this time, a 3rd warg. Finally, you also hear war horns off in the distance. It sounds like the armies of good have laid siege against the great battle camp, which means that all of the goblins are going to be heading off to war.
Well, damn, that's not good.
No matter, I'm still the king. All right? It's back to me then, right? I want to start wildly swinging the stick to attack the wards, screaming bloody murder and trying to scare them off.
All right, I'll say that the stick counts as an heirloom, so you get 3d6 to fight them off.
That's a 4, a 6, and a 2. There's no buffs or anything in play, right?
Nope, no buffs in play. That's T's second injury, right?
Yeah, he was a good man, T was. But he goes down after smacking aside the wargs. He impales one of the wargs through the shoulder, but it reacts too quickly for my little goblin and tears him in two. He dies a hero, forever remembered as the loudest goblin that there has been to date.
Well, maybe remembered until the rest of us die. That's 2 successes and something good, though.
Yeah, one of the wargs. The one that T impaled limps away in the other direction, and the other 2 are more wary since T had whacked him with the stick too. My next goblin, Rump, is a bit quieter than the others, which has always made them think of his as weak. In truth, though, he has been saving his voice for the greatest yell of all time, one capable of breaking stone and bone when he unleashes it from his frail goblin lungs.
Welcome, Rump. So your goblins were Don J. T. Rump? That's pretty good, I'll give you that one.
Thanks. I thought it was genius myself.
And Obama has been picking out characters from all of our adventures, with the exception of Barack Arak. And Joe's are all spins on either his name or his character names. Pretty clever guys. All right, is back to Barack. What is Reggie going to try to get around these wargs?
I'm out of tricks here, guys, so I guess I am just going to charge the warg with my hands waving over the top of my head and shaking my head vigorously to get rid of the itchiness from the ear infection.
I think you only get 1d6 for that one, but you do get a +1 from Donald's good thing.
Yeah, I'm not really using my quirk at all. All right, that's fair. Well, I'll let the good times roll. That's a 3. Plus the 1 from Donald makes it a 4. The wargs are really confused. Goblins are usually just easy snacks, but these ones seem to be putting up more of a fight than usual.
All right, I got this, guys. Similar to what I did last time, Joey wants to spread mud all over the ground to make the warg slip and slide around as they attack us.
All right, 2d6 with a +1 to both of them from Obama.
That's a 2 and a 4. So a 3 and 5 with the good things happening. One of the wargs successfully charges by and slides through the muck, landing with a thud against the cliff that we just scaled down. Unfortunately, now we are surrounded on both sides by angry wargs, and they seem to be getting over their wariness.
Not bad, Joe. We only need 1 more success now.
And once again, I'm going to carry us to victory.
You did get a -1 to Rump's rolls, Donald.
No matter, it's time for Rump's ultimate weapon. If there was ever a time to yell, this was it. He takes a deep breath and lets out all of the noise he has been containing for the past day since he was hatched. God damn it. That's a 1 and a 2.
I'll give you Joey's lucky ear, Donald.
Rump coughs once, his vocal cords not quite prepared for what is coming. And then he tries again. This is still rigged. That's a 3 and a 5, so Rump gets injured, but something good does happen. As Rump gets ready to loose his roar, his vocal cords snap from the sudden strain. He doubles over, coughing blood, right as the war jumps over his head and crashes, dazed into the cliff wall. You're welcome, Obama.
All right, you get a +1. What is Reggie doing, Barack?
Reggie is going to try to dive kick the wargs back into the cliff, hoping to knock it off balance or injure it enough that it runs away. Not using my quirk, but that's okay. Just 1 roll. That's a 4, so a 5 with the +1. It worked. Reggie leaps off the ground and throws all of his weight into the warg. Since it was already a bit stunned, it collapses into the wall and a large rock comes off the mountain, landing right on its tail. It whimpers and runs off into the distance, and the other one, already having lost its pack, follows suit. These particular wargs are probably not going to try to eat goblins again.
Having successfully defeated the wargs, you were able to march into the great battle camp and back to the green pits in triumph. The goblins are all going to worship you as the new goblin boss. Life will be so good and sweet, and you can relax for the rest of your lives, approximately 5 days at the best. However, things do seem a bit off as you walk into the green pits. They are empty, all of the goblins being sent as fodder to the front lines to repel the armies of good. You return as kings of nothing, but kings nonetheless, known as the most famous goblins of the age, though it looks like the age has ended.
Well, that sucks. All right, off to war, I guess.
Yeah, but at least we have the stick. It'll probably be a fearsome weapon against the armies of good.
I don't know about that. It is just a stick after all.
Damn it, Ben. Even when we win in a game other than Call of Cthulhu, you take away our victory.
Sorry, guys. It's just a roll on the misfortunes table. This didn't go how I thought it would either.
This was a really fun game, though, and pretty quick and easy to run.
All right, I'll give Ben that one. It was a fun game. How many goblins do we all have left then? I have Rump and 1 more.
I'm on my last one, Joey.
And Reggie lived with his ear infection for quite a while. I have 1 left as well, so 5 goblins all in all.
So we lost 10, not bad, not bad. Good thing I carried us so well and got us past most of the tasks.
You did have some crazy rolls.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
A huge thanks to our viewers for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed this game of Goblin Quest, and if you did, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out, and if you like this, we might do more Goblin Quest in the future.
Thanks for joining, everyone. We will see you in a new adventure next time.